I want to speak about the one who was born on the same day that Imam Abu Hanifa passed away. One great Imam left the dunya and the next great Imam was born on the very same day. And that is none other than Sayyidina Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah ta'ala. The great Imam, Nasirul Hadith, the great Mujaddid of his time, reviver of his time. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayh was born in Palestine in the year 150 Hijri. But how great is it that one great Imam leaves the dunya and Allah sends another great Imam? His name was Muhammad ibn Idris ibn Abbas ibn Uthman al-Shafi'i. He was related to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was from the family of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. His lineage, his family tree, going back towards Muttalib and Hashim. Hashim was the great grandfather of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib ibn Hashim. Hashim was Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam's great grandfather, Pardada. And Hashim had a brother called Muttalib. From Muttalib's family, Imam Shafi'i came. So Imam Shafi'i is related to Rasulullah alayhi salam from the great grandfather. The great grandfathers were related. And from here he has a relation to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said, لا تسبوا قريشا فإن عالمها يملأ الأرض علما. Don't swear at the Quraysh. Why? For after my time, an alim is going to come. A scholar is going to come. يملأ الأرض علما. He's going to fill the entire earth. He is going to fill the entire earth with knowledge. So the ulama sat, and Sufyan al-Thawri and Sufyan ibn Uyayna, the two Sufyans, the great Imams, they were there and they sat and the people were waiting that who is this great alim of the Quraysh going to be? Rasulullah alayhi salam said that there's going to be an alim of the Quraysh who will have so much knowledge of the deen, so much understanding of the deen, that he'll fill the entire world with this knowledge. And the ulama write that this great alim of the Quraysh, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Sufyan al-Thawri, and the ulama Abdullah bin Mubarak, and these, they said, there's no denying that this alim Rasulullah alayhi salam was talking about was Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah. Imam Shafi'i is this great alim who will fill the entire world with knowledge. And Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi, the great Imam, we see that he became a hafiz of the Quran by the age of 7. Imam Shafi'i was hafizul Quran at 7 years old. By the age of 10, he had memorized the kitab, the hadith book of Imam Malik, the Muwatta, al-Muwatta of Imam Malik. Imam Malik's Muwatta is an even older hadith book than Imam Bukhari Sahih. Imam Bukhari Sahih, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal's Musnad, these books of hadith, compilations of hadith, came after. The Muwatta of Imam Malik is one of the earliest books written on hadith. One of the earliest books. And if you follow the Maliki school, it's a school. If you follow the Maliki school of jurisprudence, you will find majority of the rulings are derived from the ahadith which are mentioned in the Muwatta of Imam Malik, rahmatullah alayhi. He said, by the age of 10, I had memorized the Muwatta. And by the age of 15, Imam Shafi'i was giving fatwa. He was a mufti. He was able to give rulings to people. Imam Shafi'i traveled extensively around the Muslim world. He lived in Mecca, he lived in Yemen, he lived in Medina Munawwara, he lived in Baghdad, he lived in Egypt, and he passed away in Egypt towards the end of his life. Amongst his teachers, Fudayl ibn Iyad, the Imam of Tasawwuf of that time, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, the great Imam al-Hadith, Shaykh al-Hadith of that time, Sayyidina Dawood ibn Abdul Rahman al-Attas, these were his scholars in Mecca Sharif. In Medina Munawwara, Sayyidina Malik ibn Anas. Imam Malik was the direct teacher of Imam Shafi'i. Imam Shafi'i said that I have 3 things that I love. I love to be soft and gentle with people. Imam Shafi'i said the 3 things I love in this dunya is to be soft and gentle towards people. I don't like being harsh with people. And then Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi said that he iqtida bi tariqi ahli tasawwuf. One of the things that he said I love the most in this dunya, I love following the men of Allah. He said, I sat with the people of tasawwuf and tariqat for 10 years. 10 years I accompanied them, and you know what I learned? Al-waqtu sayfun. Sitting in the company of the most learned people, the most in the inner state, You see, externally, Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal were the great Imams. Externally, they would tell you, if you came, what's the ruling if I break my salah, and they'd say, do sajdatul sahaf, or if you missed a wajib. When you ask the likes of Bishr al-Hafi, or Asad ibn Harith al-Muhasibi, or you ask Dawood al-Ta'i, or you ask Fudayl ibn Iyad, that if you missed a wajib in prayer, what's the compensation for that? And they said that person should be lashed 20 times. He should be lashed 20 times for missing a wajib in prayer. They said Imam Abu Hanifa and Shafi and Malik and Ahmad bin Hanbal, all the great Imams, they said that if you miss something in prayer, that you do sajdatul sahaf and you compensate. And you're saying that if you miss something in prayer, that person should be whipped. He should be lashed 20 times. He said, why? They said, you know, the people of the madhab, of the outer, those who perfected the Quran and Sunnah, those who understood it the best, they gave a ruling according to that. But when you went to the men of Allah who had the highest level of taqwa, fear of Allah, they said, how can you stand in front of Allah and forget? He said the punishment of forgetting in front of Allah is 20 lashes. This was the level of the taqwa. This was the piety and the wara that these people had. And Imam Shafi'i said, I sat with these people for 10 years. These people who were so cautious in what they ate. They were so cautious in halal and haram that they left the makruh, they left da' ma yuribuka ila ma la yuribuk. Leave what gives you doubt to what doesn't give you doubt. These people, they left the grey area. They were so cautious in every aspect of their life. 10 years I sat with them. In those 10 years, you know what I learned? He said, I learned that al-waqtu sayfun, time is a sword. If you do not control time, time will control you. If you don't manage your time properly, time will your life will go by and you won't realize where it's gone. Time management. Imam Shafi'i said, I sat with the men of Allah and I learned time management. Discipline, and that's the key. That's what you learn when you sit with men of Allah. They are so disciplined. When it's time to pray, they pray. When it's time to read the Quran, they read the Quran. When it's time to go and visit the ill, they visit the ill. When it's worship, this is how they were. And this is what we need to implement. This is what Imam Shafi'i is teaching us, rahmatullah alayhi. Imam Shafi'i, rahmatullah alayhi, it is narrated that he passed away on the 4th of Rajab. It was a Friday in the year 204 Hijri. He was 54 years old at that time. Imam Shafi'i was 54 years old. And he's buried right now in Cairo, Egypt. If ever you go on holiday to Egypt, make sure you go and visit Imam Shafi'i's maqam, where he is resting. Make dua there. Read Fatiha for Imam Shafi'i. For he is one of the great Imams of this ummah. He's one of the founders. Those who understood the religion better than most, and all of us put together. Nobody comes equal to the great Imam Shafi'i, rahmatullah alayhi. He left a lasting legacy on mankind, and he was one of the greatest of all times, one of the greatest Imams of all times, and he's regarded as the Mujaddid of the 2nd century of Islam. No doubt he was the great Mujtahid Mutlaq. He was the Mujaddid of that time. He was the Imam and the Shaykh and the Hafiz of that time, and the great scholar that everyone relied upon. Practicing Islam will become very difficult, and it's true. Look at the time we live in today. We have juhala, ignorant people who think they are learned about the deen. They have no knowledge of the deen. They've never studied the deen. They've never sat with the scholars. And they'll sit and they'll debate. They'll argue, oh, this is not right and this is not right. Everyone has an opinion. Facebook gives that right to everyone. Social media has created that right for everyone. Allah said in the Quran, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge, ask the people of dhikr, ilm. Go ask those who are more learned and more knowledgeable and more learned than you, and they will then answer in response. They will educate you, they will teach you. How do you understand Quran and Sunnah if you don't know Arabic? Are you relying on translations in English? How are you deriving rulings within the religion when you have absolute no understanding, no education, no training within the deen?